Greetings and thanks for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so and support the channel. Today we are going to run SAS after we have installed it. If you haven't installed it yet, please check out the other video and see how it is installed. And then I will put that link in the description below. Once we have installed it, please come back to this video and learn how to import your data from Excel sheet into the SAS software and how the data is structured. And so we will also run a basic code to show you how to do a descriptive statistics with your data. So please stick around, bring your SAS, bring your cup of coffee, and let's get started. So to run SAS, as you have learned from before, you have to install it in a virtual machine. So you run Oracle virtual machine here. It's the first thing you do. You will find your SAS installed here, and then you do start, and that will start the SAS software. Obviously you'll have to wait, as I mentioned before, for the SAS to run, and this is going to take a few seconds. It will take some time, so we'll wait for it to install. Okay, so now we have this screen that always pops up, and it says what you need to do. You enter HTTP, you open any browser, enter HTTP localhost 10800. Please don't close this window until you are completely finished. So we'll just minimize it, and then we'll open a browser, and so the host will be there. Here it is. So it's localhost 180 SAS Information Center Index, and then this is how you start SAS. Here, where it checks for update, if there are any updates you need to install, it's going to be here. But what we need to do now is just to run SAS. Just wait for a few seconds until it runs. So now you already you are familiar with the SAS University Edition interface. After it is running, here is the list of the files and folders, as well as tags and utilities that we'll probably be using later on. And this is the my folders, the one that we set up in the beginning. And this is where your codes are going to be. So the SAS codes here. Each one of these will have a log and a place where you can type the code, and you can see the code is really colored, and the results as well. So here I have two codes that I have written. Okay, so this is the beginning. As I mentioned, this is going to be very basic code to start with. I will tell SAS here in this code the title of my output or my work, so I can give it any title I want. This is the first file. Anything you want. Make sure after you write any option, any procedure, you end with semicolon. This semicolon is most important. I just did the same mistake. So this is semicolon. That's what you need, not the colon. You need the semicolon. If you wanted to comment your program, you can write asterisk, and then this is a comment. SAS doesn't read this, but you have also to end with semicolon. Another comment type you could do with multiple lines. This is how it is, a slash and asterisk. So this is line 1. You can have here multiple line as much as you want. Any kind of text here, this will be ignored by SAS, and then you close it with asterisk. That's it. So these two are comments that are not going to be read by SAS. SAS will read this title. Will give the title. In the title itself, you can have more than one title. You could also have like title 2 with, for example, if you wanted like the data is fruit color, okay, and it is by me. I want by Al-Yahyai to be blue in color, and the title also red for the fruit color. So this is how it's going to be printed. All right. So that's how you do it. Then next step is to give your data a name. So I call my data fruit color. So this is how it is. You just type data fruit color. and then tell SAS where your data is located. My data is located in that same folder, my folders, but inside a folder called raw data. So SAS needs to go here, find raw data, and then go to the file. This is where the file is located, this data. And if we look into the Excel sheet, this is my actual data that I saved as CSV. It has these columns, one for the location, which is north and south here. So you can see north and south. Type, there are two types of pomegranates, one sweet and sour. I did this experiment over 2 years, 2018 and 19. These are the trees I use, 3 for each, from each variety for each year. And then I also use 2 fruits per tree, as well as I used like 3 readings per fruit, and I took the data of color, that is L, Scilab, L, A, and B. But you can see here that the year and tree and all the way to B are all in numbers, but the location and type are in text. So you need to tell SAS this information. So we go back here, we told SAS where the data is. Another thing is that the actual data starts in line 2, not line 1. So the line 1 is actually the row, the first row is all labels. Second row that will have the data. So this is what I'm telling SAS here. The data starts from row 2. The data is saved as delimited, comma separated value. So I need to tell that to SAS because this CSV file actually. So I need to tell SAS this information. And then, as I mentioned, the input, the columns that I have, 2 of them are text. So they are location and type. This $sign tells SAS this is text. So you can see here, this is text. These only first 2 columns that will require the $sign here and here. And the rest are all numbers. So you don't need to do much except just take the exact same column headers and put them here. Then tell SAS to run. SAS will take and read that data, and then it will show you the data to make sure that the data you're analyzing are actually the same, like the one you have. So for the time being, I will just block this text, this code, for the time being with a comment. So now SAS will not read this because I already blocked it. I want to test if SAS can read my data files. So after I finish, I will just type run at the end, as you can see here, telling SAS only in this particular code that what the title is, to put the title, there are 2 titles, and to give it colors. I told SAS to name the data as data fruit color, and I told SAS where the data is located, in what format the file is, and also how to read the data. And then I told SAS as well the input variables are, some are non-text and the rest are all text. I indicated the one that are non-text with the $sign, and that's it. I ask him to run. Once you do that, make sure you have the run and semicolon. This is always the biggest mistake for those who deal with SAS. Then you just run. This is how you run it. So as you can see, data will actually be shown to you. Just double check that the actual data you have here, for example, this is the top. Okay, this is correct. So I have that right. And then if there's any mistake, it's going to be here in the missing data, or any missing columns is going to be here. So the last number is 23.54. Make sure your data is inputted correctly. So this is, there you go, 23.54 is right here. So that's where the data is. So it looks like I have missing data. I have 100 rows that are red. Okay, so that's the first row, and then I'll go to the next row and the next row, all the way until I get to the last 19.68. There is my 19.68. So I have no missing data. Everything is there in SAS. In order to double check one more time, I will ask SAS to actually print the data in the results here, because right now it did not give me any results. It just read the data. And so it's a good practice to check the log. The log has any errors. If there are any errors, it's going to be here. If there are any warnings, are going to be here. These are the 2 most important things. Notes are okay. SAS will give you notes on what it has done. It has read all this. As you can see, it did not read this. You can see it didn't go through it. It did not read it. It read this. It gives you the time and all of that has taken to read. It also told you it read this file from the folders, as you can see here, and it had all the processes that it was supposed to do. It was done. Now next, I'm going to ask SAS to actually print the data for me in this section. So this will be my first code, actually, my first procedure. SAS deal with procedures. So every time you do something, we call it a procedure. So here is the procedure, proc for short, and it says print what? Print the data. Which data? The data that I called fruit color here. I wanted SAS to print it now. And then every time you introduce a procedure or a step, you do run and semicolon. Now we will run this. It should show us in the results, but there's a mistake. Every time there's an error, we will have to check where the errors are, and then we'll see where the data has not, why it hasn't worked. So there you go. Now we run. Let's check the errors. There are no errors and no warnings. Basically, this code has been read. As you can see, this procedure print used has been run, and this is how much time it took to run it. It read 144 observations that have my data file. So this is what I'm talking about. This is different from this one. This is the data that is actually in the Excel sheet, is imported with all the options to select which column to use, to include new analysis and so on. But this is making sure the actual SAS reads the code and the data file. And as you can see here, this is the title that I gave it at the beginning on top. You can see this is the title with no specification of color. I gave it another title too, with this being red and this part is being blue, and that's what it has done. You can see in the results that SAS gave me the first title by the default color, and then gave me this by the colors that I specified. I can specify any color I want in this code. So everything, it seems to be fine. The file in the results matches the data sheet that I have. 25 should be also 19 at the end. So this, all my data is included. It has read the text data as well as the numbers data. Now I can go one more step, including another procedure. As I mentioned, we'll do a simple procedure this time that will include, so I will uncomment this. This is the procedure. It can be, you can see here capital letters, here are small letters. It does not matter in SAS. I can have any I wanted capital or small, it doesn't matter, as long as all the information is there. So this is the data of fruit color that I am going to analyze with the procedure means. Procedure means will give me descriptive statistics. Okay, it will give me the mean, standard deviation, standard error, minimum, maximum, and variance. Okay, so all this will be given. This is called the procedure means for the descriptive statistics. The variable that's going to look at is going to be the L, A, and B, and this is the results I have collected. L, A, and B, these are the dependent variables that I'm looking at, and based on this information or classes. The classes is location, and I ask it why location, because there are different classes here. We have the location, we have the type, we have the year, and so these are what I'm interested in. I have done replications of tree and fruit and samples by readings, but if I wanted these to be classified by type, means I wanted the sweet ones together and I wanted the sour ones together. So I have sweet and sour. Okay, and then the classes will be by location. Now I ignore the year in this instance. I can also ignore anything I wanted, or add the year, for example, here if I wanted, if I am interested, I can do that, but I want it to be classified by type. So this will give me the means procedure, which means you're going to give me all the information from me, standard deviations, and so on. So we are going to run this procedure. Now we will stop running the print since everything is working. No need to waste CPU and time or running the print function here again. So we'll just stop that by commenting out this code. So that's how it is. And now it should be fine. Every time I have a problem, I have to go back and check what are the errors. There seem to be no errors. So it should be working. There you go. Okay, we have an issue here. It says it's not sorted, so we have to sort it first. We have to sort the data before we actually do, because I'm sorting it by type, so I have to go proc sort by type before I actually run the means. So that's a good thing about the errors. Here are the errors I have. There are 2 errors. This is the one. I click on it and I go find where the error is. The error is that the data is not sorted in sequence that I asked for it. So I just sorted it now. So I'm assuming this is going to work and fine. There you go. Now I have sorted my data. This is the output for basically the mean, the standard deviation, the minimum, the maximum, standard error, and so on, for the data that are sorted by what? By type. That's why it was asking for the procedure sort by type before running the means, because the data is not sorted by type. As you see here, it is not sorted by type. It is starting with location. So I need to do the sorting first, as it showed me in the error last time. So this is the importance of the error and reading the log and the warnings to make sure if everything runs fine. Once I do that, I stopped it, remember, from printing the data, so it's no longer there. I asked it only to run the means, and it gave me the means here. The mean, standard deviation, standard error, minimum, maximum, and n that have been used here for the analysis. It is sorted by type. So sour trees are, or cultivars, different from the sweet cultivars, but includes the location. And you can see here there's no mention of year. If I wanted to mention the year, I could do location and year. That way I can run it again, and you can see here the year has been added. So before it was just the north and year in both years. Now this is sorted by the year. And so you can also sort it by, you can add, like if you are going to do by location, you could do location here and location here. You could look at it the way you want it. But every time, if you wanted to go by the year, for example, then this would have to be by type. And here you would have by year. And you will see now that this will change the data. Now it is by year, 2018, 2019. And you can see here we have the north for both cultivars, sweet and sour. Same thing for south for the year 2018, and here for the year 2019. And then I had no errors because obviously everything already ran fine. So this is basically a start on how to code using SAS right away without getting into the small details of what is this and what is that. This is the functionality of SAS. This is how you get the most out of it. So finally, to summarize today's presentation, remember we have the title. If you are interested in it, you can have one or more, it's up to you. But if you're going to have one every time, you give it a number. So there's only one title here now, and this is the data, name of the data, and this is where the data is found, and that's it. You run it to test it if it is there or not. You can also do a procedure to print your data here. I excluded it because I added the comments. When you put it between comments like this, it means SAS will not, it's green is not going to read it. So that's not red now. But I remove this, it will start reading it. Now it is red. It's going to be red. So I'm asking SAS to print my data. I'm asking that SAS to sort by year because I'm going to ask SAS to analyze or give me the summary statistics classified by year. If you don't want to be classified by year, you can have just classes without by statement. But I wanted it by year or by type or by location, and so to show you that's how it's done. Every time you need to remember to type run and to type the semicolon. These are the most important things in SAS. Most of the errors come from those two things, run and semicolon. Otherwise, everything is simple and straightforward. Then you run the software or the program. Here is a printout of the data, and this is your analysis. As simple as that. Any errors are going to be here in the log. Very basic, very straightforward, no complications. So that's basically it. That's all you need to know on how to run SAS. And once you are finished, if you have any issues, please write them down in the comments, and then we will solve them together. Also, don't forget to share this file and like it, and share the video with others so they can benefit from it, and support us by subscribing. As we are finishing now up, we will close the SAS software. Very simple. You could save the files, of course, from here. They are going to be here. You could save this file any way you like. You can give it a name, anything you like. You can say test1, and then that will save it into the SAS format, SAS. So this is where it's going to be saved. You could save it in my folders or anywhere in SAS University Edition folder. So it's going to be, this is it. This is where it is located. Once you are done, you just close the SAS. It will ask you where you want to leave. This also can be closed. Again, check if there is any updates. That's it. So we are done analyzing. I'm not going to save this file, but remember just one small thing before we leave, to close this window. And then this is how it is. Power off the machine. And so now that is closed. All is closed. Everything is done. We go back to Oracle. Close that as well. It is very resourceful. So good luck and keep trying. Bye-bye. See you next time.